On the last RWL Rage, MJ Ferrantino shocked everyone, including Scott Bell, by not only taking Lars Sullivan but introducing Gene Snitsky.
Hi, Dick knows. You know you did a really stupid thing, not only mistreating Lars Sullivan, but just tossing him aside like trash. I decided to take you up on that challenge. Now, he's gonna need a lot of deprogramming and Chew to get him back to working singles again. So for now, I paired him up with Gene Snitsky, and these guys are gonna slap a do not resuscitate sticker on the revival tonight. And I'm just getting started with you, Bell. I'm going to war with your monkey ass.
Is that right? Listen, you sanctimonious sunbish. The sweet revenge tour starts in the Southwest. My part of town. You and your whatevers will be on our terms, so bring it. You geek jag off.
Well, Matthew James Ferrantino, certainly taking the fight to Too Short. Tonight, he brings the Texas Hangmen to face Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the Revival.
It did not take very long for Ferrantino and Too Short to get into it, did it?
Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next tag team match is set for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Introducing first, accompanied by Matthew James Ferrantino at a combined weight of 610 pounds, Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangman.
Now that I've got you here, Tex, I've always wanted to tell you. I've always been amazed by the fact that you succeeded in bringing the Texas Hangman back from oblivion.
Yeah, you like that, huh? Killer and Psycho, they were my favorite tag team growing up in the AWA. So I hired two guys, put masks on them, and you're the new Texas Hangman. Boom! Yeah, I'll bet you're looking forward to seeing them take on the Revival.
Their opponents, accompanied by Too Short Popeye, Scott Bell, at a combined weight of 440 pounds, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the Revival.
It don't take a private eye to tell you that the Revival and Too Short are both really salty about that Gene Snitsky and Lars Sullivan thing the other night.
Oh, give me a break. When is Scott Bell not salty?
Well, we've said it before, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the Revival, obviously some very talented individuals, but under the wrong guidance of Too Short Popeye, Scott Bell. And I'm pretty sure that the Texas Hangmen are going to give these boys what for.
So, Tex, exactly how closely are you and MJ Ferrantino in collaboration?
I wouldn't exactly call it a collaboration, Gene. I'm more of a financier of Mr. Ferrantino's stable, and he's done really well so far. I have no problems helping him out because, well, he's an up-and-comer, and he's real intelligent. You know, I've heard it said that Ferrantino is basically Scott Bell if he was a human being. And an intelligent human being. And we know that ain't possible.
Scott Bell fascinates and repulses me at the same time. He's the textbook definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah, that's Scott down to a T. He's been playing that same record for the last 15, 20 years or so. Can you believe that man was once actually in charge of the entire RWL? That's a horror story, and I don't want to hear it, Tex. I'd rather hear about Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment? Damn, Dan. That's some serious business. Well, yeah, MJ Ferrantino and Too Short Popeye. Two slabs of the same weird coin, but at least Ferrantino's a likable guy. Oh, man. Well, they took a beating at the hands of Snitsky and Lars Sullivan last time. Let's see how they do against the Texas Hangman.
I think Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder are about to catch a serious beating.
You know, I don't think I'm ever going to get over how much louder this place is than that 2,000-seat TV studio we were working. Dash Wilder and Killer starting us off as Tom Canamora sounds the bell. Killer rounds up Dash Wilder over his shoulders. Face first, pancake to the mat. Dash Wilder gathered up again. Counters. Whips Killer into the corner. He rebounds out, catches a knee. And all the way up for the vertical suplex, but a counter. Killer takes him down with an elbow. And Dash Wilder catches a fist drop from Killer. And a kick to the back. Dash Wilder. Oh, a hard shot to the midsection. Michinoku driver for good measure. Look at this. Dash Wilder counters with an uppercut. But this sets it up, set up a knee break. Wow. Dash Wilder. Dragging Killer towards the middle of the ring. What's he got in mind here? He's going to tag in Scott Dawson. Too short Popeye. Scott Bell standing ringside as Killer turns a dragon screw on Scott Dawson. Dawson counters the kick. Delivers another dragon screw. Killer blocks the kick. And a dragon screw again. Oh, nobody blocked the kick that time. Killer nailed it. Killer escorts him to the corner. Here comes Psycho on the tag. Scott Dawson catches an elbow to the face. Up over the shoulders he goes. Flapjack face first to the mat. Psycho counter with an eye gouge. Scott Dawson looks like he's going to take Psycho to his corner. But Psycho, with a couple of elbows, says, I'd rather not if you don't mind. Scott Dawson counters. Inverted DDT. Followed up with a stomp. Oh, too short, likes that. Psycho whip to the corner. A clothesline. Scott Dawson rounds him back up again. Whips him right back into the corner a second time. Another clothesline. Scott Dawson whips Psycho to the ropes. Fireman's carry from Psycho. Scott Dawson counters with a right. Whips Psycho to his team's corner. Yeah, he's getting fired up. Scott Dawson counters. Scott Dawson counters. Arm drag from Psycho. Snap suplex from Psycho. Followed up with a stomp to the chest. The Texas Hangman, at least in control right now. Flip over neck whip to Scott Dawson. Up. Obviously, they're in control, otherwise Too Short wouldn't get involved. Scott Dawson takes advantage of the distraction, delivers a knee breaker. Psycho laid out in the Revival's corner. Too Short taking himself a walk towards the apron. You know what's coming. He's going to get a chair. There's a kick from Dash Wilder, who's been tagged in. There's the chair. Psycho rounds up Dash Wilder. Uppercut from Dash Wilder. Psycho whip to the far corner, but escapes the corner. Tags Dash Wilder with a right. Dash Wilder counters the suplex, turns it into a neck breaker. Too Short manipulating the turnbuckle. Tom Kanemaru got to fix it now. He's distracted. Psycho again refusing the invitation to the Revival's corner. Psycho countered by Dash Wilder. Inverted DDT caught him right on the chair, on the back of the head. They've already cheated. Here's a tag. Scott Dawson comes in. Psycho taken down to the mat. Dash Wilder sets it up, and there's a stomp to the knee. I'm sorry, Tex. Revival's giving the Texas Hangman a pretty tough time. Yeah, well, so far, Too Short again. Ah, son of a... Scott Dawson using another distraction to keep Psycho on the mat. Followed up with a stomp and a fist drop. And I think Scott Dawson just busted him open. Too Short looking very smug right about now. Dawson whips Psycho to the corner. Psycho steps out. Whips Scott Dawson to the Texas Hangman's corner. Scott Dawson escapes the corner, follows up with an uppercut. Rounds up Psycho. Psycho whipped to the Revival's corner. There's another clothesline, and down he goes. Scott Dawson whips him into the corner again. Psycho finds his way out. Whips Dawson to the Texas Hangman's corner, delivers the clothesline in retaliation, and down he goes. Psycho stalking Scott Dawson here. Up over the shoulders. Michinoku driver with a pin. 1. Dash Wilder. Messing things up. Psycho with a right to Scott Dawson. Scott Dawson counters, and we lost the referee in the process. I didn't even see it happen. Psycho. Whip to the Revival's corner. The referee coming back to his own here. Psycho misses with the clothesline. Scott Dawson has him up over the shoulders. Hangs him up off the top rope. Psycho rolling his way to his team's corner. Tags in Killer. Misses with a clothesline that would have took his head off. Scott Dawson with a dragon sleeper on Killer. Delivers a series of shots. Gets him back up over the shoulders again. Psycho says, no you don't. Implant DDT from Killer. The Texas Hangman firing back here. Another DDT. Head first into the canvas, and Too Short Popeye gonna get involved again. Scott Dawson catches 2 DDTs. Not gonna make the distraction this time. There's a hard shot from Killer. A knee to the gut. Scott Dawson countered again. Slaps the hand away. Up over the shoulders. He goes one more time. Another Michinoku driver. And here's another pin. 1. Dash Wilder. One more time. Psycho gets rid of Dash Wilder, or tries to. Has him up over the shoulders. Scott Dawson, meanwhile, is laid out. Another Michinoku driver for Dash Wilder. Killer counters Scott Dawson. Clothesline. Drops Scott Dawson. Dawson counters with a leg sweep. Now he's setting up a submission. Referee Tom Kanamura checking on Killer. Killer gonna find his way out. Gets the leg loose. Nails him with a right to the face. Scott Dawson catches the hard whip over the rope out onto the floor. He's not moving, barely. Killer takes it to the outside. Scott Dawson with a couple of kicks to the leg. Misses with the clothesline. Scott Dawson catches a right from Killer. And a shot to the gut. Killer's got him up. Scott Dawson catching the lip of the apron head first. Killer with a series of rights and a kick to the gut. Scott Dawson goes back inside the ring. Here comes Killer. Scott Dawson whips him to the corner. Dash Wilder with a little help here. Psycho with a headbutt on Scott Dawson. Scott Dawson whips him back into the corner. Here's a tag to Dash Wilder. He's got the leg trap. And Dash Wilder delivers the kick. And now an alley-oop out of the corner from Scott Dawson as Dash Wilder takes over, going for the cover. But Psycho right there to break it up. Scott Dawson catches a shot to the back of the head. Killer getting back up on his feet. Scott Dawson catches Psycho with an inverted DDT. Dash Wilder with a top wrist lock on Killer, but Killer nails him with a series of shots to the gut. Dash Wilder counters. Nice wraparound neckbreaker from Dash Wilder. Killer goes up over the shoulders. That's a nasty backbreaker. This match has gone on for a little bit now, and still no near to a winner. Killer with a clothesline takes down Dash Wilder, and again, Scott Bell gonna get involved as Scott Dawson makes the tag. Just nails him with a right while he's arguing. Oh man, unbelievable these guys. This match should have been thrown out. Killer trying to make his way to the corner. Scott Dawson catches an elbow. Again, Scott Bell distracting Killer. Scott Dawson opens up with a series of right hands. Scott Dawson takes Killer towards center. Lines him up, sets him up for the submission again. That leg lock. Killer. Unable to make it to the ropes. He's going to have to fight his way out. Gets the leg loose. Tags him with a right. Down he goes again. Killer back up. Both men back up on their feet now. Up over the shoulders goes Scott Dawson. Another Michinoku driver and another pin. But Dash Wilder, again, right there to mess things up. Killer. Stalking Scott Dawson. Winds up the arm. Scott Dawson counters. Clothesline misses. Killer whips him to the Texas Hangman's corner. Scott Dawson counters. Killer delivers an elbow. Whips Dawson back into the corner. Scott Dawson finds his way out again. Whips Killer to the Revival's corner and a clothesline. Killer rounded up by Scott Dawson. Nasty chop block. That looked painful. Scott Dawson, I'm kind of worn out. We're running out of time here. Scott Dawson with a leg drop on Killer. Too short. Popeye definitely real happy with what he sees so far. Scott Dawson whips him to the corner. Killer counters with an arm drag. Nails him with an elbow. Scott Dawson doing drag towards center. A flip over neck whip. And again, the referee needs to get Bell the hell out of there. With just about 2 minutes to go, he should have been chucked out of there a while ago. Killer nailed with a suplex by Scott Dawson. Here comes Dash Wilder. Killer makes his way out, makes his way back in. Nails him with a clothesline. Down goes Dash Wilder hard. Dash Wilder with a dragon screw. Dash Wilder, both knees right to the face. What a shot. Dash Wilder drags Killer towards center. Covers. 1, 2, 3. I don't believe it. The Revival with a big-time upset here.
The time, ladies and gentlemen, 19 minutes and 34 seconds. Your winners by pinfall, The Revival.
No, Tex, I am genuinely sorry. I felt the Texas Hangman had this match in the bag, but apparently not a huge upset.
Oh, well, you can't win them all, Gene. But he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day, and Scott Bell will be here tomorrow, and so will we.
I shall hang my hopes on that, Tex.
Well, there you have it. With about a minute and a half to go, the Revival pull off a huge upset over the Texas Hangman, with Scott Dawson getting the pinfall. And quite frankly, I'm stunned speechless. Ladies and gentlemen, our main event is coming up right after the break, so don't go anywhere because we'll be right back.